Before there were maps, there were two worlds. The world you know, and the shining realm of Qaf, hidden just beyond it. A kingdom of fairies and giants and magic. On the night he was born, an emperor 1,000 miles away woke from a dream. A black crow that stole his crown, and a bright hawk that flew out of the west to win it back. And the wise men said, "That hawk is a child, and he will shake the thrones of the world." That same night, the fairies of Qaf carried the sleeping baby across the sky. They blessed him, and they touched his eyes, so that nothing hidden could ever hide from him again. His name was Hamza. He would become the bravest champion the world had ever seen. Strong as a lion, a warrior against 100 armies, a prince who lost his heart to a princess, and at his side, the cleverest trickster who ever lived. Amir, a thief of 1,000 disguises, and the truest friend a hero ever had. Together, they crossed burning deserts and enchanted mountains. They faced sorcerers and giants and dragons and the demon armies of Qaf. They saw wonders no eye had ever seen. Thrones that flew, cities of gold, gardens that bloomed in the dark, courage, magic, love, and laughter. One of the greatest stories ever told, carried for 1,000 years. And now, it is yours. This is the Dastan of Amir Hamza. Sorcerers build them the way an honest man builds a house. Walls of seeming, doors made of your own desire, and in the deepest room, the one true thing, the whole lie, was raised to hide. You cannot besiege such a place. You can only believe your way through it, carefully, one step and then another. So watch tonight what the champion trusts. That is the whole lesson. Now. In the Garden of Iram, Hamza had grown sick for the sight of home. So he said, "Sound them. If Ifrit will not come to the war, let the war go to Ifrit." And the drum set of Solomon was struck. Gold thunder and silver thunder heard 3 days' journey in every direction. And in his morning camp, the great dev Ifrit heard it for what it was, his own name, called by something patient. And he was afraid. So he sent for his mother. Now mark her well, children, for she was the first true sorcerer of this whole tale. Maluna the witch, small beside her giant son, terrible beside every other living thing, a grandmother if grandmothers were made of weather. And her counsel was this: do not fight the human. Run into my tilism, into the city of gold, and let him grow old and grey standing at its door. And mother and son were gone out of the world. And Ifrit's leaderless army went over to Shapal by the 10,000. So the war ended without a war. And the real war of Qaf, the story showed at last, was never the one fought with armies. But the fairy king's gratitude carried a cruel clause, for he could not let Hamza go home, while Ifrit still drew breath beyond the edge of the world. And Hamza heard the road home stretch longer yet again. And he did not weep, and he did not argue. He said only that he would walk into the spell, alone. The crystal fort pointed the way, and on the road a courteous fairy bowed low and put into his hands an emerald tablet, graven with the names of God, the honest guidebook to a dishonest place. Remember this above all, children. Everything within these walls may lie to you, but the tablet never does. And he came to the gate of the city of gold, and the gate was a serpent, vast as a mountain ridge, one jaw upon the earth, one upon the lintel of the sky, its open mouth the door, and it beckoned him in. "Breathe the name," said the tablet, "and jump." So he looked once at the sky, drew one breath, and walked into the throat of the thing. A cataclysm of sound, then silence, then a garden that would have shamed paradise. And so he learned the first grammar of the tilism. Every threshold is a death you agree to. Then began the gauntlet, each trial a lesson. First, a girl in iron chains, weeping. Sosan Pari, who told a piteous tale of a forced marriage to Ifrit and a betrayal by Maluna, and Hamza freed her, for mercy was his reflex, and she led him toward Ifrit's house, then rose singing into the air, and her song woke 1,200 guardian devs. And worse, every drop of his blood that fell stood up as another dev. You see the cunning of the place, children. The tilism does not fight you. It makes your own kindness and your own wounds fight you. But the tablet gave its cold instruction. The name upon an arrowhead. He loosed one arrow, and Sosan burst apart like a snuffed lamp, and the whole tide of monsters dropped dead in the middle of their leap. Second, he found true prisoners, a green-robed old king, Junaid Shah, and his daughter, Raihan Pari, mark her, children, quiet and watchful, the one soul in that whole spell who was not performing for him. Chained among 400 devs they lay, and Hamza, once burned, stood over them with his sword ready. And checked the tablet first, and the tablet said, "These are real." So he freed them. And the girl's look at him lasted one beat longer than mere thanks required. She owed him her life before ever she asked his name. Third, a mansion floored with crystal that seemed clear water, an open chest at its heart. And curiosity is a door too. Before he could blink, the dev inside was about his neck like a hangman's rope. But a single hair upon its breast was bound to a second tablet. He pulled it, read the great name, and the whole mansion burned to a barren plain, where a great wheel turned a river of blood into a well, unexplained. Fourth, a silent boy at the last gate. Hamza struck his head from his shoulders, and the head climbed back on, and the boy's face never once changed. The tablet, sharply now, "You cannot kill him. Stop trying." So he breathed the name onto an arrow instead, and sent it into the boy's breast. A black whirlwind and thunder, and the gate stood open on a field of poppies and marigolds. And fifth, and last, a smiling girl who ran to him with a cup of welcome wine, the sweetest trap of all, for who suspects a gift? But he recited the name over the cup, and poured the wine upon her, and she took fire and melted where she stood. The singing stopped, and the garden, caught in its lie, dropped its lovely mask and screamed, "The breaker of the tilism has slain Asra the magician." 5 trials. Children. The freed thing that betrays, the freed things that are true, the trap baited with your own curiosity, the thing you cannot kill by killing, the gift you must never drink. The whole art of a tilism lives in those 5. And beyond the last garden rose a mountain, taller than the pillarless mountain, and from a cave in its side came a snoring like drums beating under the earth. Within, lit by the moon, lay Ifrit asleep, vast as a whole landscape. And here is the beat that tells you who Hamza was. He did not cut the sleeping giant's throat. He pricked the sole of its foot. The great dev swatted at what it took for mosquitoes, bound the enormous arms, and only then woke it, face to face. Up, son of Ahriman. The angel of death does not collect the sleeping. The millstone-studded staff came down, the scorpion sword halved it, and the counterstroke took Ifrit across the waist, clean through but for one tendon. And Ifrit, halved and beaten, asked of his enemy one last favour, that he end it. And Hamza cut the tendon. Mercy again, children, in its strangest costume. And then the 2 halves flew apart into the sky and rained back down as 1,000 Ifrits. The dead dev multiplied into a horizon of himself. Hamza stood surrounded by his own victory gone wrong and called upon God, and a figure of green robe and green light was simply there beside him and said softly, "It is only the tilism's last lie. That one, the 7th with the crooked shadow. the name, upon your arrow. And Hamza loosed one arrow, and the whole sky of monsters popped, like a sky of soap, and only the true Ifrit remained, halved and headless. For his mother had the head. And in the cave, Maluna stood over her dead son's head, her curses boiling. And the green light spoke, the great name, but once, almost gently, and she was gone, the way a candle is gone. And there lies the whole arithmetic of the ending. Hamza's sword ends monsters, but only holiness outranks magic. He took the spoils, Ifrit's helmet of gold, the night glowing pearl, and a parting gift besides, a small bread bun and a flask that would never empty, and folded inside them a prophecy. When these vanish, said the light, your road turns home. Remember that, children. When the bread runs out, the road runs on. So Iram erupted in joy, and Shapal wept upon the champion's hands, and all the gold of the false city poured into the true treasury of Qaf. And the city of gold fell, in the end, to the one coin it could not counterfeit, a man who kept his word inside a lie. And Hamza asked, as after every labour, Now may I go home? Sleep now. The lamp burns low, for in Qaf, children, there is always one more thing, and this time, the one more thing wore a wedding veil.